Welcome to this episode of the Duke Football Talk Section 17 podcast. I'm your host, Brian Kennedy, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Josh Cox, Scott Medlin, the big dog, and returning from the beach at the last minute, one Jamie Holt. We've got another great episode for you. We've got another mailbag. We've got to break down the Syracuse game. We've got to talk about the upcoming opponent, ACC at dark, against Cal. We've got another tirade. We got some predictions. But before we get to all of that, as always, we got to keep all of these lights on. We've got to pay the bills. So we got to thank some sponsors who have re-upped with us this season. And let's start with Hometown Air.
Your home's HVAC system isn't meant to go all 4 quarters without a break. Now that fall has kicked off, we recommend you replace your air filters, listen for unusual noises from your system, clear leaves and debris around your outdoor unit, and most importantly, schedule your seasonal tune-up with Hometown Air. Mention Section 17 podcast for 10% off your next visit. Call 919-568-3212 or visit hometownairnc.com for your free quote today.
This episode is also brought to you by Realtor Matt Lunsford-Bliven. When it comes to buying, selling, investing, or building here in Durham and around the Triangle, Matt is always ready to help you move the chains. He'll quarterback the whole process from kickoff to the final whistle, so you never fumble a deal. If you're looking for a real estate win, put your trust in Realtor Matt Lunsford-Bliven, helping you score big in Durham and beyond. For more information, email Matt at mlb@nestrealty.com. I finally got through it. It only took me 5 weeks, but I finally got through it without a flub. Josh, we got one more sponsor to thank before we get things rolling.
Absolutely. We want to thank our sponsors, El Rodeo at North Duke Street in Durham. Your one-stop shop, my daughter would tell you, for some incredible queso. That's what she says. I don't know. It seems to be working pretty well for her. But stop by there anytime before, after game, throughout the week. Make sure you take a photo of you there, send it over to us. But they are a go-to for game days. They're a go-to for drinks. They're a go-to for all types of Mexican food there. So El Rodeo, North Duke Street, about 10 minutes north of campus.
So we thank again Hometown Air, Matt Bliven, and El Rodeo. All right, let's jump right into it. A big statement win for your Blue Devils this past weekend against the Orange of Syracuse, 38-3. I don't think any of us expected to see that. But hey, we got to hear from the man himself. Let's get Manny Diaz's thoughts first, and then we will give ours. Here's Coach.
Yeah, first off, just extraordinarily proud of our football team, and not even just as proud of how they played today. It's proud of their belief that we had a performance like this in us. Our players, in the first month of the season, maybe didn't get the feedback that they wanted, but they really believe that there was a special team in that locker room, and they were just awaiting that special performance. And I thought the way they prepared this week, coming off the win, said a lot about our performance today. And in all 3 phases, played really, really well, on the road in a very, very difficult environment to play. And so there's, as always, there's a lot to fix. We'll enjoy this today. We'll take pride in our performance. And then we'll recognize that next week's preparation starts on 0 again. And we've got to do this all over again on the road in league play. So like I said, just happy locker room in there. But a long way to go. So with that, let's do questions.
And of course, that was head coach Manny Diaz giving his thoughts post-game after Duke defeats the Orange of Syracuse 38-3, the biggest ACC win since 2019 when Duke went up to Blacksburg and defeated the Gobblers, the Hokies, whatever you want to call them, 45-10. So, fellas, let's give our thoughts really quick. I know we got to jump into offense and defense, but I think we should at least give our flowers, as I said last week, and I'll say it this week, to maybe some players, some plays. I know that I put out my pros and cons, not really a cons list this weekend, other than maybe a few questionable penalties. But who would like to give their quick thought first?
Yeah, pros, Johnny Brewer, man. You got to give it up. If people are going to criticize the OC when things are going bad, you got to give props when they go well. And it's not just him, obviously, but like the offense is really looking wonderful. Now, that could also be because Syracuse's defense was, pretty incredibly bad. And then my only other shout out is we did hit the under, but it was not our fault, right? We hit the under because our defense was too good and held Syracuse to 3 points. And on that final note, I loved Duke holding Syracuse at the end there. I loved it. Syracuse trying to prove a point, and Duke did not allow that touchdown there at the end. But an incredible performance, and looking forward to the rest of you guys as we break down some of this stuff.
Yeah, I agree with Josh. Shout out to both coordinators. I mean, that was incredible. That was the defense that we thought we were going to see at the beginning of the year. They struggled a little bit, and I won't get into that, but they looked, man, fantastic on Saturday at the Carrier Dome or the JW something Dome, the Trash Dome. We'll call it the Trash Dome.
WWE JMA Wireless Dome. I've got it down
J-
pat now.
JMA Wireless Dome. Duke owns Syracuse anyway, so it doesn't matter. Like we're their daddies. So that's another Son's Day wish that Manny Diaz can send out. But anyways, it was a great game. It was a fun game, and I'm glad that we were able to just kind of sit back and relax and have a good time.
Well, I'm not gonna go too far into this because in a few minutes I'm gonna make a couple points when it's my turn to talk about the defense. But we'll say I'm still waiting for Fran Brown to make those adjustments at halftime. Great job, Fran. I'm hoping one of the adjustments is he actually washes his butt this week after he got beat, since he doesn't like to take baths once he takes an L. So that'd be nice. But all in all, really good game. I'm still not sold on some of the penalties. They were called, and I guess in the spirit of a penalty, they were right. But I mean, when our guy runs a pattern and gets clobbered by the defender, how's that offensive pass interference? But anyway. And then whatever. I won't go on that deep end right now. But all in all, played really good defense. Offense looked better, and we milked the clock at the end. We did what we've done in the past. Exactly. In the past, we just sat there, ran the football. That was kind of an Michael thing back when he was here coaching. In the second half, the football got ran a lot because they had the lead. This is one of the few times that Duke actually had the lead and didn't have to worry about too much of anything. So it was really good. So, hey, a win is a win. Even if it is up in it doesn't really matter what your name.com bowl dome it is.
Well, I'm not going to steal anyone's thunder when we talk about offense and defense, but I agree with Scott. The defense, it was not on my pros list. Mama Anthony made sure to call me out, so I'm just letting you know, Mama Anthony, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. So they were number 9 unofficially on my pros list. How about Nate lead the flock to the promised land shepherd? He has arrived, folks, and we're going to talk about that more. But what an outstanding performance by the freshman. And I love the noon kickoff. And I'm kind of giving you an idea of what the tirade is going to be about here later in this episode. But always good to have a noon kickoff. The game's over with. And hey, you still have time to do something with your day. But those are our quick thoughts as far as all things Syracuse. Again, another huge win. Duke 2-0 to start ACC play for the first time since 2023. I almost said 2015, but the guys corrected me. Hey, that's why you read all of the article before you say it. So let's jump right in. Let's talk offense. Let's talk defense. Josh is off tonight. So Jamie has the offense. Scott has the defense. So you know what? Jamie, go ahead and get us started, brother.
Oh no, I wasn't ready. But no, and seriously, let's talk about what everybody wants to talk about. Every Duke fan wants to talk about Travis Bates, right? Is that what we're? Yeah. No.
Hey, check out that yards per carry. That's all I can say. The yards per carry is incredible.
It was almost like 9 yards a carry, close to it. It's like, so he did have some great touches, and it was nice to see Travis get in the game. Nate Shepherd, that was crazy. Didn't really see that coming. I knew we've been talking about Nate for a couple of weeks now. We've been saying that's RB1. That's RB1. He put 201 total yards on Syracuse. And what I love about Nate is it looks like when he's going into, he could be going into a line. It looks like he's getting ready to get stopped. Next thing you know, he's got that vision. He bursts through, and the next thing you know, he's got 8 yards. Like he's 8 yards down the field. And I'm just not quite sure how that happened. And he finally busted the big one, and got the 49 yards, or whatever you want to call it. We had been talking about it. A big one was coming, and he got a 49-yard touchdown run. Also, Darian Mensah continued his stellar play. 8 different receivers caught the ball. The offensive line, shout out to the offensive line. They were incredible. I think we only gave up 2 sacks. One was a coverage sack, and the other one just was Mensah trying to make a play, and he eventually got caught. I mean, I think that we talked about this before we got on. That happens when Mensah kind of rolls out, tries to make a play. Sometimes he's going to get caught, and that happens. The other sack was just a flat out coverage sack. Syracuse, the one time they were able to cover our receivers the entire game was that time, and that was it. Shout out to the Syracuse defense. They were terrible. I wanted to mention a tweet real quick that I did not have pulled up. That I should have had pulled up. That's my fault. It was a guy from Syracuse.com, and he is a reporter for Syracuse.com. Pretty brutal combo for Syracuse defense per PFF. Syracuse blitzed on more than half of Duke's dropbacks, 17 of 33, and only got pressure on 8 of 33. That'll get you roasted. That was from, at C. Carlson on SU. Like I said, he's a reporter for Syracuse.com. So that was pretty brutal for the Syracuse defense.
So it sounded like someone was playing Madden doing the all-out blitz every time and getting burned. That's a good point. And Jamie didn't mention this, but I'm sure you've already heard it. 4th most rushing yards by a freshman by Nate Shepard with 168 yards, and the 201 he mentioned was the 5th most all-purpose yards in a game by a freshman. So, Nate, keep it up, buddy. We love you. Scott, defense?
So now let's talk about that defense. So 23 missed tackles the week before, 10 this Saturday. So Jonathan Packey, and today part of his presser, was very happy. And let's be honest, he should have been happy. They played really well. To me, it felt like it was I don't want to say coming out party, but it felt like Caleb Weaver had arrived. I mean, obviously he made the first pick. He was all over the place. I mean, I made the joke that he was all over the dome. Every time you turned around, number 3 was in there doing something. He had a great game. Amy, your son Luke Morgott, had a great day as a starting linebacker. And they even poked a little fun with him, if you didn't notice that. He went from his headshot being tiny last year to looking like a linebacker's headshot. So that was even funnier for those of us who were at home watching the game. But, I mean, Musa Kane led the team with tackles, 9 total. He was on the tight end, helped Valari, I think, only made 1 catch, which, hey, if that's all he's going to do, I'm okay with that, because we're going to play people who have better tight ends as the season goes on. I mean, let's be honest. State had the best tight end, and he held him in check. So great job by him. But, man, I could spend the next 20 minutes talking about how great of a job everybody did. D-line was great. Linebackers were great. But I'm going to shout out the freshmen. Pelly was great. Gompers was great. Shopper was great. Makai Jones was in there a bunch. He was great. And in the 4th quarter, and I mentioned this also on Twitter, it was great to see those guys in meaningful time making big plays. And one of the things that I really like, and 2 weeks ago, I was kind of a little frustrated when we played State that, we were not finishing plays. When their running back was going down the sideline, there was only one guy coming after him, and that was Chan. So Saturday, every time the ball was close to somebody, there were 5 Duke players there and 1 Syracuse guy. So that is awesome. And seeing that these are freshmen, true freshmen for the most part doing it, other than like Luke, that's awesome. That means they're buying into the system, number 1. They're getting more confident, which is what Packey mentioned today. And, I mean, let's be honest. Ricky Collins was not that great, but Duke made him not look that great either. They blitzed a lot. They were in his kitchen. And I mean, it is what it is. You have to play the hand that you're dealt. Unfortunately, his hand was not well. He didn't have any aces in his pocket. But other than that, man, great job by the defense. Really nice to be able to go home. I'm kind of follow what Brian said a minute ago. The 12 p.m. kickoff, I love it for me because you guys who want to have a life and do other things, I watch football to midnight after that. And when Duke wins, it is a much more fun afternoon watching all these great games against each other because you're not, I won't use the word I'm thinking, you won't be mad and angry as you sit there and watch it thinking, we just lost another crapping game we shouldn't have lost.
And for all you keeping track, Duke has cracked the top 100 when it comes to total defense. They are 99th. I'll have my rankings coming out later this week when it comes down to Duke and Cal and the breakdown. And a little
Scott,
surprising.
Yeah, Scott,
Go
you
ahead.
mentioned Caleb Weaver. I think it's really interesting or really important to point out. He got the penalty on the first drive for roughing, and he immediately turned it around and got the interception. It was like he went next play. It's what I know Packy and what I know Coach Diaz teach, but he showed it specifically on that play. So anyway, just wanted to shout him out on there. Great breakdown though.
And also for what it's worth, Ricky Collins really had a hard time holding on to that football. That pigskin was wet or something because every time he went to throw it, it either slipped out of his hand, he dropped it. I mean, Wesley Williams, I think, got credit for a tip pass, which actually was the pig. And Wesley Williams didn't even touch the football. He just threw a bad pass. And Weaver was just doing what he was supposed to do as a safety in center field, ran under it and took it.
I think we understand why Collins is not at LSU anymore.
True. Great final thoughts. Are you back now for the rest of the episode, Jamie? We're just making sure.
Yeah, but
you're
breaking
not gonna
news.
Yeah?
News.
What?
Computer just whipped my ass. Like it was just like I was trying to get back in the room, I couldn't even get my computer screen to scroll. I'm like, what is going on?
We might have cut the mailbag segment had you not come back, bud. We're glad you're back. Well, speaking of which, let's try to get this mailbag segment out of the way before your computer decides to go rogue again, Terminator 2 style. So get us rolling, Jamie, with that first question.
All right, and I actually pulled this off the game thread because I thought it was funny. But Daniel Ray off of Facebook. He says, my daughter wants to know if Cooper was doing the soda pop dance from the K-pop Demon Hunters. So I figured you guys might know.
Scott, this is Scott. No.
Wait, isn't that how Scott celebrates when Duke scores a touchdown in Wally?
I enjoyed the dance, whatever the heck it was. I was like, hey, he's on TV and he's dancing. He's all excited.
Something with
but
some of the shoulders.
I don't have any children's that I know of, so thank God I don't have any idea what we're talking about.
So I will say this. After that touchdown, both my boys, that's all they were trying to emulate during the rest of the game, just him just shimmying his, I can't even do it. So if you're watching YouTube, you're just getting quite the show from us. But yeah, that I don't know what that is. I'm showing my age now. I have no idea.
Shout out to the 48 fantasy points between Darian and Coop this week on my fantasy team.
So that means move on, Jamie.
Man, that was a great dance.
Yeah.
Which was funny. I remembered this question because I was listening to Sirius XM on the way home, and somebody on the radio mentioned the K-pop Demon Hunters. I was like, that was kind of odd for me to hear that. But anyways,
were you listening to Chris Childers? Because that's exactly who it was. I'm sure he's a big K-pop fan.
I had literally never heard of him before. So. Peter Dodge. This is just more of a comment which will lead into a question from another person. Last week, I thought Johnny Brewer, with a change in personnel from last season, had arrived, and he wants to compliment the defense. Saturday, they looked nasty. They played nasty. They tackled nasty. I don't know if their collective manhood was questioned, but props to whatever fueled the change. Clean up the pass rush hits to the QB's head and watch this team cook. Then we got a defensive question for Scott. At Bentley Weeks, I thought our open field tackling was much better this week. Curious to know if y'all noticed the same thing and what might have contributed to it. More aggressive on defense, or did we just simply make tackles?
Well, since you mentioned my name, they actually made tackles. They finally tackled the guy with the football. This Saturday, they earned NIL money in the backfield. Last week, they were going hungry. They couldn't even go to the Taco Bell dollar menu or McDonald's dollar menu. So, great job by the team. Hey, and let's be honest, they were there every time he went back to pass. You turned your head, and he had one of the guys in his face. And thank God he couldn't run, because if he was a running quarterback, who knows what would have happened. But he was a statue-esque, so it worked out nicely.
And I'll say too, shout out to their running back Willis. I mean, that dude, I mean, he's a beast. I mean, he was, and they, I don't know why they didn't honestly just turn around and hand him the ball more often, but I really thought Duke did a good job of containing him. Even though he got his, sometimes, but like you're right, the question was spot on. I mean, Duke absolutely, I think Bentley absolutely tackled better. They took better angles. This is another week, knock on wood, another week playing on turf. That Duke did not see any sort of an injury that was meaningful. I think Trey was hurt at the very beginning of the game, but he came right back in. So anyway, shout out. I mean, listen, we can talk about coaching, whatever we want to talk about, but at the end of the day, the guys have to go out on the field and they've got to make the tackles. They have to take the right angles. Like you can't go out there and hold their hand. And the guys did it this week, and they need all the credit for doing it.
Well, if you're an NFL coach, NCAA, I'm already thinking towards Thursday night football and Monday night tonight. You get really upset as a coach when your team doesn't perform the way you expect them to. And to see the quick turnaround of this Duke team, I mean, it wasn't like this was a close. I mean, this was just pure domination. Now, somewhat of an asterisk. Yes, Steve Angeli did not play. It could have been a completely different story had Angeli been behind the center. But to see the turnaround from Padkey and the defense, and like I stated earlier, to go from 111th in the country to 99th in one game, that's a big improvement, no matter who you are, no matter what conference you're in. So, I mean, kudos. Keep that up, because they're going to need that defense to show up again against Cal this weekend.
No, you're exactly right, Brian. You're exactly right. I mean, I don't know what the turnaround is attributed to, whether it's, I don't know, it was a players only meeting. I don't know what it was, but the last 2 weeks have been, 100%, a 180-degree difference from what we saw.
Packy, real fast, and I'll let this alone. I didn't say this a minute ago. Packy mentioned that they actually tackled in practice. They actually live tackled. So, and like I said a minute ago too, it also helps the confidence level. Once you start making tackles, it helps.
Yeah, shout out to the defense. They made Collins look like Bryce Young in New England. He was shook. He was absolutely shook. Yeah, that was bad. That was bad. Sorry. Had to shout out and trash Bryce Young for a second. But anyways, Garrett King. I thought this was interesting as well. More of a comment too, but I mean we can talk about this. That had to be the most combined offensive pass interference and defensive pass interference penalties in a game I've seen in a while. I thought it was crazy because the offensive pass interference is, like, first of all, you don't see them that often. And then to get that many, Cooper got hit with 2, right? So that was
Yeah,
an
I think
insane amount of penalties.
Jerry got one too. So my thing, okay, I understand the pick play. Like I completely get that. But also, like, I'm not sure why a offensive route runner, whether it be a tight end or wide receiver or running back for that matter, why they do not have the ability to go where they want to go. Right. Like, that's what I don't understand. Like, if they want to go stand right beside somebody and engage with them, I just don't understand. Like, anyway, it doesn't make sense. The one that they called on Hazley was that's the big one to me. The two on Barkate, like, if I'm a Syracuse fan, I think that they absolutely should have called it. The one on Hazley is really that's the one to me that was absolutely not offensive pass interference. But to be fair, you guys correct me if I'm wrong. I was kind of watching mobile. I believe they also called Syracuse, right, on at least one or two offensive pass interference as well. So one. So, it wasn't. But anyway, you're right. It was pretty crazy how both teams were doing that.
To state the official rule book, An offensive pass interference is a penalty called when an offensive player illegally hinders a defensive player's ability to make a play on the ball after a forward pass has been thrown. That is the official rule book verbiage. I still think the refs had money on this game. That's all I'm saying, because I've never seen that many offensive pass interferences before. Because to me, that's kind of a toss up for offensive. Defense, we know defensive. If you are hindering the receiver from catching a ball before the ball is there, flag 15 yards every time. But to Josh's point, if a route is being run and it just so happens that the defensive player runs into that route runner, 15. It's at the ref's discretion, and I understand that, but I feel like it's more ticky-tack when it's offensive pass interference. It's got to be egregious to be called.
And forgive my ignorance here. Isn't there like a 5-yard rule, like where the defense can engage with the receiver or like the tight end? I don't. It might be 3 yards.
That's an
There
NFL
used to be.
rules.
Yeah, there used to be in the
Okay.
NFL. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
don't even
anyway,
know.
that doesn't apply. But I'm just thinking, if the defense can engage for X amount of time, then why can the offense not do the same? But anyway, all that to say, I mean, listen, we still ended up winning. We still ended up putting the points on the board. But I mean, it's going to be something to where, Duke's just going to have to make sure their timing is correct on that, and just maybe holding up for just a split second more, because most of the time when you see those penalties, you're like, man, like the guy wasn't even going to be able to get out there to make a play. So like, just let him go. Anyway, moving on.
All right. At Bleed In Duke Blue. Who has been the most surprising player for each of you this season, whether for production or lack of production? I'll go first since I'm unmuted. I'll only say one, since y'all know I usually take the entire team. But I had one that jumped out at me when I saw this question, and he gets a little grief for fumbling a couple of punts, but he also returned a punt for a touchdown. So we've seen his excitement. Queso, he just continues to get open. I feel like he's getting open. Feels like he's making 4 to 5 receptions a game. He's getting open. He's making big plays. So I'm excited for Queso and excited to see the jump that he's made at receiver this year.
I'm going to take the easy way out, and if I take your guy, fellas, I'm sorry, but Nate Shepard. We saw glimpses of what Nate was potentially going to be at spring ball, but as we stated before, spring ball is more of just running through the motions, showing fans exactly what the team can and can't do. And really, he was tiered RB2 to RB3, and he has just exploded to RB1. I mean, I see you shaking your head, Josh.
No, I'm saying I had him at 4, man. Before the season, I was the guy that said, hey, we've heard about true freshman running backs in the past, and they never get a carry in the season. I was like, he's going to be behind the other 3 guys no matter what. And boy, has he proved me wrong.
So you have Jaquez. Everyone assumed was going to be the clear-cut RB1. You had Anderson Castle, King of the Castle, coming in, and we didn't really know what to expect. Was he going to be more of the bowling ball goal line running back, or was he going to fight Jaquez for time? And then Nate was that question mark, because, Josh, you said it, true freshmen and Duke football don't really go hand in hand. But he has shown that he is a top-tier running back. And mind you, folks, this is going against a Syracuse rush defense that was not the greatest, but still was not giving up too many yards per game. There were some games where they stopped. See the Clemson game, but you've played Illinois, you played Tulane, and now you're going to be playing Georgia Tech in a few weeks. You're going to be playing Clemson. I don't care what their record is; they're still a top-tier team. You've got Virginia, who has definitely shown up. I joke with the guys. But the back half of this season could be more difficult than what we as Duke fans thought it was going to be, all jokes aside. So, again, I just rambled. My apologies. Nate definitely surprised a lot of folks.
Yeah, just to put numbers to Queso, averaging over 14 yards a catch, by the way, on the season on Jamie's pick. I'm going to be fair here, because the question was also who has not shown up. And we're not trashing here, but I'm gonna give you a quick has not shown up like we thought he would, and I'm gonna say Andrew Anthony. We all picked Andrew Anthony to I believe lead Duke in touchdowns or something. I forget what it was, but we picked him in 1 or 2 receiving categories, and he's got the talent to do it, but he's just not been able to put it together for whatever reason. Has not stopped the trio of Samir Hagans, Keyshawn Brown, and Cooper Barkate from being extremely successful. And then my good one, and I won't belabor the point, I'm going to go with Bull City's own VJ Anthony. He has really taken a step up this year. There was a lot of talk about him and Wes coming into the season, and for the first half of the year, definitely has been VJ showing out, and I think Wes is ready. But anyway, VJ Anthony's mine.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead, Brian. Go ahead.
Really quick. 5 sacks already for VJ Anthony. If I'm looking at this correctly, if he just gets 2 more sacks for the rest of the season, he'll be 10th all time for single season sacks. I don't know if he's going to get to King Coop and Charles Bowser at 17.5 in a season, but still a great start by VJ.
All right, so I'm going to hedge bets here because, I'm the last one, so that's what I'm here for. I say the freshman on defense. I say Pelly, Gompers, Makai Jones, Shaper, and I'm going to cheat, and I'm also going to throw Luke Murgott in there too because he didn't get as much playing time. Right now, though, these guys are playing a lot, and they are doing what they're supposed to do as non-seasoned veterans. But they're getting to the point now when we get to this November, they're going to be seasoned veterans, and that's what we're going to need on the back half of the season.
Next.
Let's see. Jason Rogers. We had talked maybe about this before we got on the air. I can't even remember now. What are the rules pertaining to intentional grounding? I took that penalty as it was a miscommunication between QB and receiver, which it definitely was a miscommunication, but there was nobody there.
As Brian would say, because I know right now he is looking it up to give us the official answer on what it is. The practical answer is if you're inside of the tackle box, you have to throw the ball within the vicinity of a receiver. To Jason's point and the spirit of the question, and Brian can give the details of that, but I feel like oftentimes the officials give a little bit of leeway when it appears to be a route miscommunication, right? So if the receiver's like, I read that as a quick slant, and the quarterback's like, I read that as a go route, and he throws a go route and he does a quick slant, I don't know, you know what I mean, how that is really intentional grounding. The angle, because we were not there in person, so we don't really know the angle that I saw. I couldn't really tell what it was. But to me, the spirit of the rule is like, if you understand the miscommunication, you let it slide. Brian, give the rule there. I know you got it pulled up.
All right, it's a little bit longer one than offensive pass interference, but intentional grounding is a penalty in football, shocker, when a quarterback under pressure throws a forward pass with no realistic chance of completion to present a sack or stop the clock. To avoid the penalty, the quarterback must either A, throw the ball to an eligible receiver, or if outside of the pocket, the pass must reach the original line of scrimmage. The standard penalty, loss of down, 10 yards, blah, 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 blah. But that's pretty much what it is. And that's another one up for discretion at the
That's
reps.
the thing, because he was not under pressure. That was just a miscommunication. I mean, it was straight up either the receiver ran the wrong route or Darian, got confused on what route the receiver was supposed to run. I don't know which one happened, but he was not under pressure at all. So it wasn't like he was trying to avoid a sack.
Dude,
and I'm going to be this guy. I'm going to go Brian just for a second, Brian, if that's cool with you. I'm going to go Brian. Letter of the law, then every time they clock it, it should be intentional grounding. It's literally what it is. You're intentionally grounding the ball. I digress.
It felt good, didn't it, Josh?
All right.
Does anyone know the official count for penalty yardage on Saturday? Because I'm sure there was a bet for over/under on penalty yards.
I don't think they've started counting yet. I think they're still counting them.
Yeah,
it's 105.
Yeah,
9 for
105 for Duke. What about for them?
Yeah, I'm saying total.
They had a bunch. They had a bunch too. Yeah.
Give me a minute because I actually took a picture of it a few minutes ago.
Yeah, effort on that, Scott.
I'll go to the next question while he's looking. This is a question for Josh. Drew Cheshire. Noting Nate Shepard's big game and some of the younger players on defense in the NIL era, does that make it more difficult to retain players?
Yeah. Okay. So Scott just said 4 penalties for 55 yards. So 160 yards worth of penalties between the two teams. So yeah, that was some ugly football. Great question, Drew. So just to clarify some things about the terminology NIL compared to revenue sharing. So as of July 1st, everything went to the potential of revenue sharing at $20.5 million. Drink, 2 of you in a row. Revenue sharing $20.5 million. And so that money is not necessarily coming from NIL, like name, image, and likeness. It is revenue that's being shared from however the athletic department makes money. Obviously, the main big elephant in the room there is TV contracts. So Duke is paying out $20.5 million across, not just football. So men's basketball, other sports are in there. So to answer your question, though, it is always cheaper to retain a player than it is to go get a player out of the portal. It's always cheaper. I think if you're a husband out there and you're considering divorce, the terminology is it's cheaper to keep her, right? So it's always cheaper to keep her. But Duke is going to have to figure out its financial roster management, because you're exactly right, Drew. Nate Shepard is going to demand some more of that revenue share. Elliot Shopper is going to demand. Bradley Gompers is going to demand. Like, it just is what it is. And it's on Duke. Now, they can operate outside of that $20.5 million cap in true NIL. And that's going to be more challenging because there's a lot more regulation around that. So anyway, but to your point, Duke has done a great job of retaining. As we all know, very few players at the portal last year. Duke has got something that only a few colleges in America has, and that is the pedigree of a Duke University degree, and that does matter to these players. So hopefully Duke can keep as many players off this roster for next season.
All right. We got Regina Lee coming in from Cali. Maybe she'll be at the game out there. I think she is.
I think she is. Yep.
Yeah. Does it feel like week 4 Duke is where week 2 Duke could have or should have been? That definitely yes. I think
Wait,
that
I've already lost track of the schedule.
well, I mean, she's referring to the Illinois game, I think.
Okay.
It's Duke State play should have been Duke, Illinois. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Like the level of play.
Yep.
I mean, if that were to be the case, we'd be sitting here undefeated right now. I truly believe it. I truly believe it. Illinois game is the 6-7 is the toss up. But Brian, that's another thing you don't know because your kids aren't old enough yet.
No,
anyway.
that was discussed on.
Oh, you're all in on it
with friends.
Yeah.
Thank God I don't have kids that age. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. But no, I mean, anyway, I don't have much more to say about it than, like, if this Duke team would have shown up like they did the last 2 weeks, I believe Duke is either got one loss or they're undefeated at this point.
Right.
It's a great point, Regina. We just, for some reason, we're slow starting. Luckily, the 2 losses were out of conference. That's all I can say.
Exactly.
I mean,
that's the point.
We absolutely beat Tulane. Like, no question in my mind. If they play just to the level of the play of the state game, if they play like they did at Syracuse, and they beat Tulane and Illinois, in my opinion. All right, moving on. John Householder. Castle and Shepard have established themselves as the clear 1-2 punch at RB. Is there another role you can see them finding for Jacquez Moore, whom we know is definitely talented in spite of his some of his struggles so far this season? And then similar, at BPorce 1, is Jacquez Moore fully healthy? Manny alluded to not having full availability from him after the state game.
Okay, so first of all, the injury availability stuff is becoming more public now because of the ACC's whatever that they're requiring now from the teams. There's no way Jacquez Moore is healthy right now. There's no way. We saw him hobbled, visibly limping in the NC State game. The one possession, I believe, was the only that he played at Syracuse, and he looked 4 steps slow compared to what we're used to. And so there's no way he's healthy. I don't believe he's like long-term injured. I've not heard anything, so we're not trying to like bullcrap anybody. Not heard anything about it, but there's no way that Jaquez is healthy. As far as carving out a role for Jaquez, I mean, I got to be honest with you. I think that you gotta go with the hot hand here. Nate Shepard is on fire, and Anderson Castle is like right behind him, and that's a 1-2 punch. Like I got to just be frank. I don't see any reason to do anything more. I mean, if you got to think about it, if you give any other running back carries, you are putting those other two guys on the bench, and I just don't see if you're the running backs coach or you're the offensive coordinator, I just don't see the benefit in having Shepard and Castle sitting on your bench unless you're up 31-3 or whatever Duke was when they kind of emptied the bench. So anyway. That's my thought on it. I mean, Jaquez obviously in the return game, and I think it could be a change of pace every now and then. But like as far as taking carries right now from Shepard and Castle LLC, I just don't see it. Anybody else disagree? Yeah. All right.
All right. Moving on to a little bit of preview of the Golden Bears. They are still the Golden Bears, right? Golden Bears didn't get canceled or anything. Not sure. At Blue Devil in HOU, David Piccarelli, I think. In honor of the trip to Cal next week. Y'all like red wine, white wine, or sparkling? I'm more of a you think they have sweet tea? Like I'm not really a wine guy. Not really a wine guy.
Scott's a chicken tender guy. We know that.
Hey,
Chicken
look,
nuggets.
Yeah, which wine goes best with chicken tenders? That's what I would
Saturday
want to know.
night, it's going to be Miller Yeller to keep my butt awake that long.
Excuse me, can I get a Miller Yellow 93, please? That'd be great. Thank you.
I think. I mean, at least what what is the '80s song that teaches us that red wine will make you feel so fine. So, whatever.
Wow. All jokes
You're
aside,
welcome.
If you had UB40 on your card, you are the winner. Thank you very much.
There's a song. If you've ever been to Josh's church and heard him preaching, like song references were always like,
every week
getting in the preaching, like
every week.
give me a white though, since Riesling. Wife's a Pinot Grigio gal, but yeah, I'm a white. I can't do reds; they're too dry.
All right,
but that's not the best Cal question. We have a good Cal question.
Oh yes,
get ready.
I got a few here that and then we're gonna get into a Cal preview.
We're gonna work our way up. We're gonna work our way up to the best question.
I'm gonna bunch them all together, and then I'm gonna save the best for last. Timothy 087-31120, Timothy Gonzalez. Beside cleaning up penalties, what do y'all want to see Duke improve against Cal on Saturday night in the ACC after dark? At Lisa Kodlek, she had a similar question. Their freshman QB is obviously getting a lot of attention, but what else should we be concerned about with paying attention to heading into the game? And then at the Duke of QP, our guy. We face Syracuse with their backup QB, but on Saturday we face Cal's highly touted Cal/Oregon/Cal freshman, sack of ukuleles. I think it's like is that what it is? Sacagawea, ukuleles, something. I don't know. He comes from the same high school that produced NFL talents, Michael Fumanu Ufalele. I'm pretty sure I got that right. Pretty confident. And David Fawachaya Bakun. I don't know. And his uncle, Sacagawea, or Sack of Ukuleles. On the season, Sack of Ukuleles has over 1,200 yards. What are Sack of Ukulele's strengths? And how does Patke, oh God, I was like I can't even pronounce Patke, scheme against Sack of Ukuleles?
Package away.
There we go. There we go. I think I did pretty good there.
Uso. There you go.
Yep. I don't get the reference, the Uso reference, but hey, I'm sure everyone else does. So, no, I tried to do a little bit of a look into Cal, and obviously, and I'll get his name properly here. It's Sagapulotele. So Sagapulotele. Obviously, he's a true freshman, former 4-star. Recruitment was like the question said, was kind of a flip flop. Has he been impressive? Sure, he's been impressive. But when you put everything together here, he's completing under 62% of his passes. Just for reference here, Mr. Darian Mensah is currently completing 69.1% of his passes. He has thrown 8 touchdowns and had 4 interceptions. Darian Mensah has thrown 13 touchdowns and has 2 interceptions. His QB rating, Mr. Sagapulotele, is 48.5. That's good for 87th in the country. Mr. Mensah is at 77, which is good for 28th in the country. This is not to discredit Mr. Sagapulotele. It is to put it in perspective. He has been good, but I believe the guy in Durham has been great, right? So when you're looking at Cal, you are looking at a good running back. Kendrick Raphael has rushed for 347 yards, if I may. So is Nate Shepard with a whole lot better yards per attempt. They do have a decent trio of people that catch the ball. The guy who really impressed me this past weekend was Tron Grizel. He has got 20 receptions, 344 yards, 17 yards plus per carry, per reception. He's been really good. Their tight end, Mason Minnie, I believe is the way you say it. He's got 3 touchdowns on the season, over 220 yards receiving, which has been really good. And then Jacob DeJesus, or as some would like to call him, DeJesus, 245 yards receiving, a couple touchdowns. So that's really what you're looking at from Cal on the offensive side of the football. And then they are led by 2 linebackers, Uluave and Farelli on tackles. And they've only sacked the quarterback, let's see here, 7 times on the year. Duke is in double digits there. I've only forced 1 fumble. They have had a couple of takeaways, interceptions-wise. But, here's the thing about Cal. They have a very impressive win. Minnesota, I believe, will be an impressive win. You can look at last week with BC. Nobody knows if BC's any good or not. But other than that, I mean, it's been bottom of the barrel as far as who they've been playing. And I believe Duke comes out and handles business. We'll get to our predictions in a little while. But all that to say, quarterback play is getting a lot of talk. And certainly he does some things really well. But completing passes at a high percentage is not one of them. And not throwing interceptions is also not one of them. You muted yourself,
You're
Jamie.
muted. Great job.
Also, Cal fans, it's at jholt915 if y'all want to come at me and tell me how to pronounce his name.
Of course.
So.
One thing I forgot to mention earlier, I got to mention it. Darian Mensah. I found the stat after the Syracuse game. I found it very impressive. Duke starts out slow. We've established that. Mensah in the third quarter of games combined, folks, I hope you're ready for this. He's 34 of 40. He's passed for 521 yards. His completion percentage is 85%. He's thrown 6 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in the third quarter of games this season.
That's nasty work. That is nasty work. And if I may, if we could rewind 25, 30 minutes, I apologize to Mr. Darian Mensah. When we talk about impressive people, I think sometimes we just kind of take it for granted. That dude has been ridiculous, ridiculously good. And not perfect yet, but ridiculously good. Got to give him his flowers.
And he's still third in the country in passing yards. And I think he's 5th now in passing touchdowns, but still, that's not bad considering, Duke has last week, Duke didn't have to throw the ball the whole game.
I think if you look at last year too, what's most impressive is I feel like we came out last year in the third quarters and we weren't really it wasn't like that. Mensah's coming out and he's on fire. He's learned something from what he saw out of the defense in the first half, and he takes advantage of it starting in the second half. And it's amazing to see. He's been as advertised.
I wonder too. This is the second season of them having iPads on the sidelines, and I wonder if the Duke coaching staff has had a year under their belt, as has everyone else, but a year under their belt to like acclimate to that. So you wonder if you can get in at halftime and Brewer and Mensa can sit there and really like maybe dive deeper because Mensa's been able to look at things on the sideline throughout the first half, and you can make those changes even better. I don't know that, but I mean that wouldn't surprise me if that's helped in the adjustments. Of course, they would also beg the question, why isn't everybody else adjusting? And that might be because we have a really good quarterback and we have a good offensive coordinator. So who knows?
And the offensive coordinator's got his guy now. Like, I mean, it seems like Mensa is absolutely perfect for what Brewer wants to do, right?
100%. Is that the last question there, Jamie?
I had one more.
Let's do it.
I wanted to, Brian Owens mentioned what in our honest opinion, how do you think the travel out west plus the extremely late start time that we obviously wouldn't be used to affect us, being it's our first time going out there since Cal and Stanford have entered the league. So we got the 10:30 Eastern start time. It's going to be, I mean, I can see it being a slow start. What do you guys think?
We talked about this earlier today, or was it yesterday? I'm losing track of the days. I personally believe a later start affects players more than an earlier start, like when Cal comes east or Stanford comes east. Let's say if it's a noon kickoff, their body clocks are still feeling a 9 a.m. as though they're some of them are probably just waking up on an off day. Whereas if you're kicking off at 7:30 on the West Coast and it's 10:30, some players might be going to bed around that time. Some players might just be getting their night going. I would be the player that would study the playbook, go to bed at a reasonable time. Josh is the player that, I don't need to study the playbook. I'm going to shooters.
No, and I would make the counter argument. I actually think it is way more difficult for a college kid to come to the East Coast, have a 12 noon kick, which is 9 a.m. kick. You got to think about a 9 a.m. kick. That means you're up at 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. your time to get to the stadium 2.5 hours early to go through your stuff. Like, I think these guys, and we kind of joke about it, but like they're college kids. They probably do stay up late. Like, now will I believe the team, and I meant to text and find out for sure. I believe the team is going out a day early, so I believe they'll go out Thursday instead of Friday. Did they mention that? I'm assuming they mentioned that today, Scott. Okay, yeah, so going out a day early to get acclimated a little bit. I'm also assuming that, it being a 7:30 kick, local time there won't be crazy, but, you do have to, like, figure out what you're going to do during the day on a road game that starts late at night. But I don't know, man. I guess we'll see, right? I guess the way you look at it is you'll have to see, does Duke come out and seem like they're ready to play right off the bat, or does it take Duke a while to get rolling?
My only counterpoint to you, Josh, is this. Most teams practice early morning anyway, so they're
True,
acclimated to getting up early.
And shout out to Duke. Shout out to Duke for doing the late night practice, bringing the students in. You guys probably saw Barstool Blue Devils tweeting about that. But yeah, I agree, Brian. You're exactly right. They do early morning practices all throughout camp and all that kind of stuff. So,
and that was actually something Manny referenced today. They do the morning practices. They're changing it around a little bit now. They're going to do later practices so they can get acclimated to practicing. When they do it, they're leaving earlier, and they're going to try to. In fact, when they land, they're going to go do a practice as soon as they land to try to get acclimated to practicing and playing games in that time frame.
I mean, the way that I look at this is these guys have NFL aspirations. If you're going to play in the league, I mean, this is a part of life. I mean, you gotta figure it out. And I mean, I would take it as like, if people think this is going to affect us, we're going to go out of our way to be so prepared that it's not going to affect us. And I think that's the mentality that Manny seems to be taking, and it's the right one. But you're right. I mean, I do think it's a great question because it is something. I mean, 3 hours is not a joke. Your body does take a little bit of time to adjust. There's no question.
And no one's talking. Fantastic.
I mean, Brian, you usually get us from one thing to the other. They're
Well,
old buddy, old pal.
I can't segue myself into the tirade.
Oh, that's right. It's a 2-minute
Yeah.
tirade. I got you. Okay. All right, I'll pinch it.
Mhm.
Call to the bullpen. Call to the bullpen. Here comes the lefty. I'm a righty, but
lefty.
anyway.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's 2-minute tirade time. Gotta be honest, this one there wasn't much for us this past week to really tirade on. Obviously there's not anything from the Duke game at Syracuse to tirade on. I mean, other than, did we keep our starters in too long and risk them getting hurt? I know we were maybe trying to get Shepard to the 200-yard mark, but I was like, man, put that guy over there on his throne beside King Castle and let them sit and chill. But anyway, we do have something to tirade about. It's kind of a preemptive tirade. And there's nobody, we've been waiting on this. I mean, Scott is obviously a tirader. I can be a tirade, Jamie can be, but listen, if you know Brian, this is like kind of built in to the fabric of old Thomas Brian Kennedy. And Brian, you got your clock ready? I'm gonna get my clock ready.
I honestly don't know if I'm gonna need the full 2
Yeah,
minutes.
I know it's not crazy. We did have to fish
a crazy one, but I've got some thoughts for sure.
All right, Brian. I'm gonna give you the floor, and then you go whenever you are ready.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. ACC. Are you kidding me? Seriously? I get adding Cal and Stanford, but a 10:30 kickoff? Yeah, the old man's coming out right now. But if I'm being honest with you, a 10:30 kickoff's probably going to end about 2 a.m., near 2 a.m. East Coast time. You're trying to alienate fans. And I'm sticking up for the Chapel Hill College fans too. They get the 10:30 kickoff against Cal next week. What are we thinking here? And before you Duke fans or any fans say, oh, he's just complaining, let's go through this. There's a slot on the ACC network after the Syracuse and SMU game. That would have been a perfect time to put Cal and Duke. A nice 7:30 kickoff, 4:30 Pacific time. You would have had more fans watching. You would have more engagement. But no, we had to go ACC after dark. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not watching the game at 10:30. My old man's coming out. I'm sorry. And you know what? What makes it even worse is that the ACC announced that Wake and Oregon State next week 3:30 kickoff. Seriously? Just when I thought your refs were bad at making decisions, the officials make the bad decisions when it comes to timing. I don't want to see this anymore. I understand you've got your Miami Florida State game on ABC at 7:30, but I'm going to be honest with you. Had you had Duke and Cal at 7:30, we would have been flipping the games back and forth. So ACC, do me a favor in the future. When it's a West Coast game, and I know Cal and Stanford need their primetime games, think about the East Coast fans. Because as we said, when Cal plays and Stanford plays at 12 and 1 o'clock, fans are waking up. You're going to have more engagement. ACC, you let me down yet again on a 10:30 kickoff. I'm out.
There you go. Five seconds to spare. Good job there, Brian. And we actually wholeheartedly agree, even though the rest of us will be staying up and watching the game.
I might watch the first quarter if I'm being honest.
Yeah. So I will do that. But no, you're exactly right. And the crazy part about that, if you caught it, was looking at the fact that there is an open slot on the ACC network. There's not going to be a game after that 3:30 game until the 10:30 slot, which is wild. Crazy talk. All right. We do want to talk a little bit of predictions. First of all, who won last week, and then Brian, give us a little bit of a preview of what the winner this week win.
All right. So a lot of y'all listened to us last week because there were a lot of 38s for Duke as the final score, which was the actual score. So Jonathan Huggins predicted Duke to win 38-20. That was the closest I could find. Everyone expected Syracuse to score. Everyone. I mean, Syracuse shocked us all with only 3 points. So 38-20. Congratulations, Jonathan. I actually sent out your stuff today, so you should be receiving it in the next few days. Now, as far as the Cal prediction winner, it's not the same, folks, I promise. This is the short sleeve version of what was given away last week. Last week we did the long sleeve. This week we are doing the short sleeve Duke Blue Heather t-shirt. So we will have the prediction form made and sent out Wednesday. Wednesday's usually.
Yeah, I've been doing it Wednesday evening.
Yeah,
Yeah, it seems to
Wednesday
be doing well.
typically works. We've been having about anywhere from 85 to 100 entries. So keep that up, folks. We really appreciate it. Now, as far as this week goes, 10:30 on ESPN, Duke and Cal. Duke is still a 3.5-point favorite. It went down to 2.5 yesterday late, but it's back up to 3.5. The over-under is 55.5 points. And fellas, I'm going to throw a bone to you. As far as the jerseys go, Cal only wears blue and yellow. They used to wear a white helmet, but that was way back in 2012. And they have blue and yellow jerseys, so that might help you with your jersey prediction. As far as points per game, Duke comes in averaging 34 points per game. Cal is averaging 24 points per game. As Scott is celebrating the Broncos right now on Monday Night Football, he is multitasking. You know what? I'm unmuted, as Jamie said, so I'll go first. I think Duke will continue its winning ways. I think last week was just the flag standard that we're going to have moving forward to get ready for Georgia Tech in a few weeks. We're not looking past Cal, even with the time change, even with everything thrown at them adversity-wise. I've got Duke winning 35-21, so almost close to what both teams are averaging. As far as the combo, I'm just throwing this out there because every time I predict something, I feel like the equipment staff's like, oh, cool, watch this. I'm actually going white top, white jersey, black pants. I don't think we've ever done that before. So a little modification of the Oreos, as we like to call them, so white, white, black. And I'm going to have the Gothic script on the helmet. So 35-21, white, white, black, Gothic script. Who wants to go next?
I'll go ahead and go. Brian says he's going to make a quarter. Dude, take a nap. You got all day Saturday. Take a nap. That's what I'm going to do.
Hey, man,
I'm
I got
gonna be able
kids.
to-
I got kids.
Hey, well, I might have the boat out. I'll take a nap on the boat. But anyways, let's keep moving. Yeah, I like Duke. I like Mensa, Shepard, Castle, the whole crew. Barkate. I love what the offense is doing. I love the offense clicking. I'm hoping that the defense found their mojo. I think we'll find out more this weekend because we are facing a QB that is quite a bit better than Collins. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name this time. But I like Duke. I'm going to go Duke 41. I think they put 41 on the board. That's right. Cal 21. Duke 41, Cal 21. And the jerseys white out with Gothic script.
Oh, yeah, we got to get that. We got to get that icy white at some point, right? We've not had it yet this year. So I'll stay on that vein. I'm going to go. I really want to do white, white, blue, kind of to Brian's point on the black, but I know we've done that before, but I think I'm going to go icy white because I'm all about the icy white. Let's go icy white with the Hellraiser on the helmet. I think that's a sweet look. That's that Middle Tennessee State look from last year. So anyway, I'm gonna be super cheesy. I'm gonna go spot on the averages. Duke 34, Cal 24. See how that goes. Scott, you're up.
Sorry, I was celebrating a touchdown run by the Broncos. 14-3, good guys. Sorry. Yeah, that's the bad thing about Monday Night Football.
They still going to lose by a field goal at the end?
Oh, they're going to find a way to lose by a field goal as time expires because that's
sorry.
just what they do.
Sorry.
So as far as the uniforms for Saturday, I say we go with. I do want the white, icy white, but I don't see it. Personally, I'm in love with the new Gothic Duke on the helmets. If we were going to do the Brian thing, I would love to see the black, but I don't think we're going to do that. I think we're just going to go blue helmets, white Gothic, white shirt, blue pants. Score, I really don't have a clue, to be honest with you. I think Duke will score, so we'll go 37-27. Yes, I'm going to go under. Dun, 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 dun. And let's see. Oh, and Dabo has less of a walk this week than he did the last time he was down this way. And they're going to go over and roll Billy and the boys and Muffy and Buffy are going to be hitting the BMWs by about 12:45. They're going to miss out on the second version of Ludacris singing after the thing's over with. So go Clemson Tigers.
Yeah. So we're 4 for 4 on Duke there, 4 for 4. Before I send it over to Brian to take it away, I want to remind you to follow, like, share, all that kind of stuff. The YouTube, if you would subscribe, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Send it to somebody. X and Instagram at Duke FB Talk. We hit 4,000 on our Facebook group, so make sure you do come over there and join in all the fun. Housekeeping before Brian closes with the did you know is we will be taking the bye week. We'll be taking the bye week next week. We also have a special announcement that will be coming out next week during the bye week. So just keep that in mind. We've been holding on to this one for a little bit. So anyway, Brian, we got a ever popular did you know for the Cal Bears, and then we're going to the house because we've been over an hour.
Now, I was going to say, and of course, it's a little bit longer. Did you know? So I'll try to get through this as quickly as possible. Did you know Cal is a part of one of the oldest rivalries in college football against the Stanford Cardinal, dubbed the Big Game? The first game between the two schools took place on March 19th, 1892. The game was not only significant due to being the first ever college football game played west of the Rockies, but future President Herbert Hoover helped organize the game. Hoover at the time was an undergrad student at Stanford, as well as the team manager of the football team. Hoover, along with Cal team manager Herbert Lang, apparently Herbert was a popular name back then, organized the game to be played at the Haight Street baseball grounds in San Francisco for $250. They printed 5,000 tickets for the game to be sold at $2 a ticket. The morning of the game, Hoover and Lang were presented with a unique problem. The game was sold out. However, 5,000 additional fans showed up to watch the game. Hoover quickly sent assistants to find pots, pans, anything they could find around town to help collect the additional funds for the game. As game time approached, another problem arose. Both teams forgot to bring a game ball. Scrambling to find a solution, Hoover sent someone into town to get a ball at the local sporting goods store. After waiting an hour, a modified football with a punching bag inside of it was presented, and the game was played with Stanford winning 14-10. After the overwhelming success of the inaugural game, a rivalry was born, and as of this year, Cal and Stanford have played a total of 127 times, and that was Did You Know for Cal.
Nice. All right, so we are walking into some history over there. Those two Atlantic Coast Conference teams, Cal and Stanford. So, well, guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Share it with somebody that you know. With that being said, Brian, take us out of here, man. Let's go home.
Yeah, let's go home. And we're 2-3. It is what it is, but we had a lot of good content to bring you. As Josh said, we're going to take the bye week off. We hope you enjoy the bye week off as well. Watch some good football, enjoy some time with family, play a sport, play some pickleball, play something. I don't know. We'll see. But that'll do it for us for this weekend. We'll be back in a couple of weeks to preview all things Georgia Tech, another big game on the horizon for the Blue Devils. But for Josh Cox, for Scott Medlin, for Jamie Holton, producer Tyler Witt, I'm your host, Brian Kennedy, and this has been yet another episode of the Duke Football Talk Section 17 podcast.